Hello everyone, my name is Timothy Lee Grant, and in today's video I'm not actually going to go and do a Leetcode problem. Today's video I'm just going to talk about kind of my path in Leetcode, where I am right now, and what I'm planning on doing. Because I said in my YouTube channel is kind of documenting my process of from the very beginning what I'm doing, documenting everything that I'm doing to be able to finally get to the goal of entering into a top tier tech company. So today is more kind of just discussing like, all right, where am I and what am I planning on doing in the future? So I decided that I was going to completely change up my leak coding strategy. I realized I've been doing Leetcode for a very, very, very long time, and I hadn't seen much improvement in myself. And so I said, okay, well, I am going to try to figure out a strategy, how I can change up what I'm doing to be able to improve on my Leetcode skills. And so what I decided that I would do, because I had been doing this for like a year. I had been attempting to do Leetcode for a year now, and I still just get bodied by those medium questions. Just I see a new one and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure out anything that I can do to change that situation. So okay, last week I decided I'm going to change things. So the method that I'm doing right now is I am coming here. So, I mean, I've followed this neat code before, but I am taking each topic. I'm looking at a specific topic, and I am not just going to randomly do this topic. What I'm doing, so last week on Sunday, what I did was, okay, I looked at this 2 pointers here, right? And then I went to Leetcode, so this is neat code with an N. Then I went to Leetcode, okay? And then what I did is I filtered for 2 pointers, and I only focused on, so this is what I decided to do. Instead of just kind of randomly doing problems. No, I decided I am going to come to here. I am going to pick like 5 or 6 problems. In this one, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 problems in this 2 pointers. I am going to intensely learn these 4 problems. So what I did was the entire Sunday, I took out a little I had a notebook, and I wrote down, like I started here with longest palindromic substring. And I looked at the problem, so I opened it up, right? Opened it up, and I said, okay, if it wants to load. So I opened it up, and obviously the code is there, but I didn't have anything. I read the problem, and I said, all right, well, okay, I don't really know how to solve it. So I didn't struggle with it. I kind of wrote down ideas that I had. So I said, like, maybe I could do this or that, right? And I said, all right, well, first off, I know that this is part of 2 pointers. So on my notebook, 2 pointers, right? What kind of question is this? Like, longest palindromic substring. Given a string S, return the longest palindromic substring in S. Okay, well, what kind of question is this? Well, it's dealing with strings. Okay, so write that down. So there's some connection between 2 pointers and strings. So I need to put that connection in my brain that 2 pointers somehow solves strings, right? Like, it can operate on strings. Okay, so all right, well, I have that. And palindromic substring. So if I see something about a palindrome, then I know that 2 pointers might be a valid solution or method for finding a solution. Okay, cool. So then what I did is I didn't worry too much about it. I just went and immediately watched a YouTube video on like this, ooh, made myself real big there, um, on this problem. And I wrote down everything on my notepad. I said, okay, well, this is how he's solving this question. He's using this method. And I wrote down all of the questions which I had. Like, well, I see that what we're doing is that we are like expanding or contracting. So I described like the different methods which two pointers might be able to uh, move in, right? So, okay, I know that I have two pointers. Well, how can they move? So, trying to make any connection that I can. So, after I learned from the video how to solve this problem, I tried to solve it myself. And then I kept trying to think about, like, okay, well, what did I learn? And noting all of those points which were tripping me up. So, okay, I was getting a lot of these off by one errors. So, I need to really pay attention when I'm doing other problems to say, hey, this is something that I need to practice on. So I'm bringing it into my consciousness. Okay, so then I went to the next one, which is this one, like contains or a container with most water. So I just did the longest palindromic substring. Then I decided, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the second one. So, okay, I read the problem and I said, well, okay, this one is dealing with arrays. So arrays are also a data structure that can be solved with two pointers, right? Two pointers can work on arrays, I should say. Well, a string is just a character array. Okay, so I made a note about that. Like, hey, these things can be abstracted from arrays and strings to just arrays, right? A string is actually just a subset of an array. It's a character array. Okay, well, put that into my brain. And then I looked at this question and I realized, hey, okay, two pointers fundamentally, now that I have two separate problems, I was able to kind of see a wider field of vision for what two pointers can do. And I realized, what do these two problems have in connection to each other? Well, both of these questions are asking, in an array, what is the relationship between two spots in this array? When it was longest palindromic substring, we were trying to find, okay, well, I'm trying to find, like, if this position and this position are the same. So I have two locations within the array, and I want to check if they are the same letter. So each iteration through the loop, I am checking, are these two positions in the array the same thing? So I'm checking the position. Now, this one, I'm also checking two positions. Each iteration, I'm checking two positions within an array. So now I jotted down on my notebook again. I said, okay, well, here's another observation that I made. When I need to be able to check the relationship between two elements within an array, two pointers should be something that comes into my brain, because obviously right now I know that, okay, I am looking for, and all of the questions which I'm doing are part of two pointers. So I know that right now, but when given a question, how can I identify, hey, this is a two pointers problem, right? How do I look at a problem and say, hey, here's two pointers? Well, if I see a string or an array or something like that, I might be able to say, okay, well, two pointers might be a valid method for solving. Another observation is if I have an array and I'm thinking about how to solve it, and when I'm thinking how to solve it, I'm saying to myself, oh, there's some relationship between two separate, or between two indexes in the array. Okay, well, 2 pointers. All right, so then I learned how to do this one and I put it very firmly into my mind. Awesome. Then I did threesome, and then I did threesome closest. And then, so I actually did do foursome as well. It just doesn't have that check on it. But I got all of those questions and I tried to identify everything about these problems, right? Okay, cool. So I did that on Sunday. Then on about Wednesday, I reset all of these questions and did them again. And surprisingly, I was able to very easily go through them. And I was, wow, okay, well, I wasn't quite expecting it to be that easy, but it makes sense because I studied them the entire day on Sunday. So does it mean I'm getting better, or did I just memorize those exact problems? That's a question that I don't quite know, and I think we'll be answering that going forward in the future, right? I'll be able to discover the answers to that question, but as of right now, I don't know, okay? So what I'm thinking to do right now, because today is technically Sunday, but it's actually Saturday. It's the night of Saturday. So I'm thinking I am going to come down to sliding window. And so tomorrow what I'm going to do is, instead of 2 pointers, I'm going to go to sliding window. And I'm going to do the exact same methodology. I'm going to go through and pick those problems in sliding window. I'm going to not really memorize them, but forcefully push it into my head. This is what's going on. What problems does sliding window solve? What can I keep my eye out for? How am I able to identify this? What methodology are they using? Try to make any observations that I can. Just write it down in my notebook. Write it down. Write. And the reason that I'm picking sliding window is because it's essentially 2 pointers, but it's a variation of it. So instead of 2 pointers radiating outwards or radiating inwards or moving like this, sliding window is just 2 pointers but kind of moving in unison. So it's essentially 2 pointers, just a little bit of a variation of it, right? That's another observation that I'm going to be making. So that's my plan for tomorrow. Also today I am going through this remove. So Leetcode has his website, but he also has a bunch of YouTube videos, and very helpful. So he did this remove nth node video, which is one of it's technically a 2 pointers problem. So I'm very curious why it's 2 pointers. So tonight I'm going to be watching that, but then tomorrow I think I'm going to sliding window. And so then what should I be doing? I'm curious, should I go forward and just go back and really pound in more and more? Because right now I'll say hardcore memorize. I don't like to use that word memorized, but hardcore implanted. I'll use that. Implanted 4 problems into my brain. Does it generalize? And that's really the crux of the question is, does it generalize? Does hardcore implanting problems into your brain generalize into me being able to solve more 2 pointers problems, ones that, well, okay, I've actually done all of those except this trapping rainwater, but another sort colors, does it generalize? So I'm thinking maybe I will. So Sunday I'm doing this, and then I'm going to try to implant 4 problems into the sliding window into my brain. And then maybe I just keep do another 4 problems of 2 pointers. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to be moving in lockstep. forward to conquer this entire map. Obviously, I know my goal is soon that I want to be able to conquer this entire map. But I don't quite know the path that I'm going to do it. So, and I don't know how many problems I really need to conquer or like implant in my brain to be able to get to that point that I can kind of generalize out and be able to uh, get to the point that I feel confident with any of these medium questions. So, but I do think that this method of just hardcore focusing on 4 problems and making any observation I can and really understanding them. Honestly, I don't really know any other method. So I've been struggling with Leetcode for like a year now, and I haven't seen much progress. So I'm desperate for anything, and yeah, I'm thinking like if I just like go through enough of these, implant enough of them in my head, I'm hoping that I will be able to generalize it. And again, not memorizing it, not just like, oh, okay, well, I know whatever contains water. It's just memorize. No, I don't mean memorize. I mean just take the problem, understand the problem, take any information I can, what kind of problem it solves, with the context of this is a 2 pointers problem, what kind of problem it solved, how I would have known that it was 2 pointers, what data structures does it operate on, what's the trick of this problem, what are any other observations that I can make. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I'm going to document everything. I'm going to document my progress. I'm going to explain how I'm doing it. I don't know what the future holds. Who knows what the future holds, right? But I am going to try to document all of my progress, both on Leetcode and then also my project-based videos, which are me attempting to learn those skills that are important for becoming a back-end software engineer. So that's what I'm targeting. I want to become a back-end software engineer. So don't know how long it's going to take, don't know my path, but I'm going to be documenting my entire way forward. If that is interesting to you, you can feel free to subscribe. And I now have, 1,153, I think, or 53 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. So have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and goodbye.